Good morning, everybody. Let's get set up. Let's rock and roll. Okay, a lot to go over here. Very short period of time. Now, I want to just show this on the daily so people can kind of understand where you're at and what is going on. So that was obviously a big deal to get over that level, right? We can see how we fought it over and over again, that 13.2. Bouncing through, pulling back over and over again. Now, what's happening is we are constantly stepping up, okay? Which is great. What we would love, and I'm not sure that we're going to get it, but I'll show you what I would love. I'd like a test of some of these levels. Like, I would really love to sell down and get a test of this 13.2, even break 13.2. I'd love to see 13 and get a test in here of something like that. And then make sure that you hold and then build and go from there. You should all remember 13 and what a nightmare it was, right? So some kind of pullback to 13, I would love that. I'm not so sure that we're going to see that. Okay. I'm just not sure we're going to see that. But if I was to look at the market, and I'll mark that as well. But if I was to look at the market, these are your levels, right? These are like your big levels. Now, you start getting into a little bit of the minor ones, right? Well, we can even come across here, but it's a little bit really to me up here. So tried, bonk, 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 right? And that gets you that 13,364. We actually know that this is where it started at that 13,350, right? We talked about this in the pre-market doing CPI and PPI. So now we're flipping that level, right? And we can see that. And that's exactly what we want. What we need to do is just see how this is going to play out. Now, I don't think you need to be in a hurry here. I'm going to open this way up. I don't think you need to be in a hurry here, guys. I had a really good day yesterday, just waiting for these things to come in and then just buying them for trades. Now, the things I bought, I went over this last night, things that I bought on breakouts because I felt they were going to get away from me. I bought a little ZS. Didn't work. Okay. Like, that's not working. What was working for me was waiting for these pullbacks and taking advantage of them. Google could absolutely drop. I think it'll get bought, just like Microsoft yesterday. People are going to want exposure. And you can see that 306 level, 306.90 is what I'd be watching. If you're trading Microsoft, watch 306.90. For me, the other levels I'd be paying attention to, 304. It's actually like 303.90. So that's roughly where I think I'm in. So I would be paying attention to that. Now, you're seeing some other names here that look great, but let's get into the ES. Well, we can't go higher because the ES is not going higher. Okay. So we can't go higher because the ES is going higher. I really don't care about the S&P. I don't need the S&P to go higher. I need the Nasdaq to go higher because the Nasdaq's what is leading. Nasdaq leads bull markets. So, and I'm going to show you this chart real quick. I didn't have time to go over it. I'm going to go over it in Saturday's video, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and click all notifications. But I didn't have time to go through this last night, candidly. I've been pretty active after hours trading, which is why you'll notice that the videos this week came out like hours later than they usually did. There's just a lot of opportunity. So if you take a look at what's going on here, right? Well, let's just go to 22, okay? So you're back to May 21 in the break and the market's running, and you can see November when we peak on the Nasdaq, and then since then the Nasdaq underperforms, and you can see this pretty clearly, but we're going to just pop that bad boy in so that you can see it, and you can see the convenience of that and that area right there, right on Nasdaq performance. Then you're going to come here and we're going to drop that bad boy in. Isn't that interesting how we rode that line and then broke out, right? Okay. So let's clean all this off. So we can see where we're at. The important thing to take away from this chart, let's go to a monthly, is that the NASDAQ always should be outperforming if you're in a decent market. Now, just to kind of put it in perspective, if you're taking a look at back here from '02 on, we had 20 years. Did you have bumps along the road? Yeah, you did. And those bumps, if you bought them when you reversed, you did fairly well, guys. So when you see those breaks, right, when you get an opportunity like this, pay attention to it, okay? This can continue to outperform. This can absolutely get over this level. Absolutely can get over the high that happened during the back in the day, you know, during the internet go-go days. And that's obviously your high up here. The reason I'm showing you this is I'm seeing a lot of people focused on ES and 4,200. I'm just going to say it, like, who cares? I really don't care if you go sideways. I don't know how we're going to go higher on the ES if financials can't get out of the way. I mean, financials cannot get out of their own way, right? We're seeing it. Right? This is actually setting up, and it's kind of not exactly what you want to see, but I mean, here's the definable trend, right? We can see that. You clone this, maybe it even fits somewhere in here, right? Maybe that even fits up here somewhere, you know, like it does. It fits right there, right? So there's your channel. And hold on one second. There's your channel. So there's your channel. I mean, that's not great, right? So it's a bear flag. It's actually a bear pendant. So that doesn't really make me feel warm and fuzzy. You tried to get through the neckline, you failed on financials, right? Now, I'm saying this as somebody that owns financials. I own Goldman, MTB, NYCB. So financials are not going to help us. Energy, I think, is still 5%. I think that's where we're at, 5% of the market right now. That's rolling. I mean, this doesn't get any clearer that you're about to break down here and probably come to 52-week lows on energy. I mean, I think that's where we're heading, right? You know, if you believe the data that you're seeing on inflation and you believe the data that you're seeing in the jobs market, well, it's going to be a slow bleed in energy names. So, pardon my slurping. So if we understand that, then we go, okay, well, what's going to lead us, right? And this is what I keep trying to figure out. Where's the leader? Well, XLK is 40%. I'm looking for a close over 151. Let's clean all this off. So make sure you get the newsletter, guys. Link in description if you don't get it. Starting it up again. It's been on hiatus it's actually been 3 weeks with this cough, and I've been trading a lot too, but COVID just won't go away. Anyway, I feel fine besides the cough. It's just annoying. So here we are, XLK. And you see that level right there? Okay, I wanted 151. Maybe it should be a little higher. That's starting to look a little sleepy to me, right? And then on top of that, I'm going sideways here. And then if I blow this up, well, I'm not really crazy about this, right? So, okay, maybe Apple and Microsoft are going to take a rest, right? Maybe that's what it's telling me. I don't know. So I kind of have to see how this is going to play out. But I don't see the leading. I don't see us leading yet. I don't really feel like this is the leader. So I'm leaning towards S&P is going to go sideways. Nasdaq's probably going to go higher. I think the SOX is probably next to break out the way that it's setting up. That's just my opinion. But I do think that we're setting up here. So I have positions in the index through the ETF, other methods as well, other instruments, I should say. But I don't see us breaking down here right now. I mean, I just don't see that happening. If you just come straight across from that neckline, you're just not breaking 400 for whatever reason. You're just probably not going to break that without some kind of news that's going to get us down. So if we look at that one, and then this one actually looks a little bit better because see how you're wedged in here. You're in that kill zone. I don't really like how we're just bonking around, right? I don't want to ride that 50. Here, I'll blow this up for a minute. So I'll show you what I'm looking at. I don't want to ride that 50 line. I want to get over that 50 line. You'll note that the biggest moves that happen with stocks in general, you're always above that 50, right? You're always above that 50. When you get above that 50, that's usually when you have the most significant move, right? So I guess we can do a real quick tutorial and show you this. So let me show you what I mean. So here you are, and you're over that 50. Here you are over that 50. Here you bounced right off that 50. Okay. So I want to be over that, right? See how these failed? See how you bounced here over the 50? Okay. And then the moves that follow, right? That's what you want. So I would be watching SMH. I'd be watching the stocks too. Again, I'm long, but all I see are dip buyers on these. So, I mean, I can't even pull back. Even the day where I'm supposed to pull back and I get this, weird kind of shooting star, which is pretty negative, I fill in the gap with a red bar. Like that's not something that's telling you it's going down. It's not ideal. And it gives you a really great stop, right? Like right here, right? But it's not ideal at all. And I'm not so sure that if we break, that we're just going to roll over. Like I'm not entirely sure that that's the way this is going to play out. So overall, I'm going to watch this very, very closely and see how this plays. But I don't really have that feeling that I need to, panic here. I think I could just have patience and be a dip buyer. 282 on the video we need to watch. I'm going to be asked about Tesla, so we could talk about it. Two thoughts that I have on Tesla. Number one, nobody's talking about this 1 million vehicle recall, which is essentially almost every vehicle that's in China. No one's talking about that. It's almost like his Twitter announcement was perfectly timed with the release that there's acceleration problems and that China basically will have recalled all their cars from him. It seems like all of a sudden that's not an issue, but we'll see what happens there. You can see your level here and you can see how you're holding above that level. I mean, it doesn't really get much clearer where your level is, right? 174.48. So as long as you're above there, you're probably okay. Maybe they blow it off because they're just glad that Elon's not going to be playing around with Twitter. I don't know. I'm not chasing this. Can it move? Yeah, it can. Absolutely can move. So once you get through this level, you can gap fill, right? A true gap fill is here, right? That's your true gap fill. You get to the close. But yeah, this looks pretty realistic, doesn't it? And then you come across here and just drop it that way so you can see it. All right. Bonk, 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 battleground, bonk, 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 right? So 178. I thought it'd be 180, but it looks like 178. So if I was long, I don't know that I'm going to break that neckline. I mean, maybe I do because he's back, and I don't know, guys. But I would watch these key levels if you're going to be playing around with that one. And that's really what I say. I would start really looking at the cloud names. You can obviously see that they're starting to turn. All I see is getting to these necklines and then battling those necklines. If I look at names like NNOX, I went through this last night. I'll tell you what I'm noticing more than anything. When these smaller cap names are breaking out, they are breaking out. It is very different than what you're seeing in the large cap space. Okay, the small cap names, when they break, they're going, they're ripping. Very different. And that kind of makes me think about this a little bit. I'll just tell you, I'm going to go over this in Saturday's video. So it makes me think about this a little bit. So I'm going to get rid of this note. And I started watching this. Maybe that's on a daily, so maybe I should just go there with it. So you can see this. So here we are, right? You're breaking down a little bit right there. You see that lower low right there? And then at the same time, I get this, right? So I've got a little bit of a positive divergence. Now, it's not my first one, right? It's not my first rodeo, right? So here we are, and then you get it back here, right? So, when I have this at the bottom twice, it just makes me think like, and I haven't acted on it yet because there's nothing redeeming about that chart, right? But it does make me think that some of these names are probably destined to go higher. Now, if I can flip this DTL, I might go long IWM because they're going to start chasing whatever they can chase soon, in my opinion. And you start looking at IWO, which is just the growth sector. I mean, it doesn't look great, right? Like that doesn't look great, but you're not breaking down. But if you do this, and you take IWO and you look at IWO relative growth, this is growth versus value in small caps. Sorry, sorry, that's actually growth versus the index, which will give you something similar, but this will be way more severe. So this is growth versus value. Okay. I don't think it gets much clearer. I really don't. And you can see how much upside you have, right? I mean, you have massive upside here. Start getting through these necklines. Like this can really motor. So I think that's why we might be seeing that in the smaller cap names, that they're chasing the smaller cap names. And I have a bunch of these little guys. So I mean, I really like this ON. I'm really hoping that we can get that 33.60 push, and we'll go from there. Now, anything else that I really want to cover before I take questions? I'm going to cover this IEP. I'm just going to say this, like everybody has to make their own decisions, right? We didn't break 30 yesterday. I'll tell you now, if you break 30, it's probably going to have a really bad day, right? Like we know that, right? I'd be real careful here if I was short. That's all I'm going to say. You have no idea what he's going to do. And the cost to borrow right now, when I called Interactive Brokers, it's like 20%. Plus you're paying $8 a year in dividends for being short. So you start looking at this and going, it's costing someone 46% to be short. And they come in today and now they're down $2 on their short position. Like, how long is that going to go on for before somebody realizes, like, what's your catalyst? Hindenburg's going to call another, and this is kind of where I'm trying to get people to think. Hindenburg's going to call another government agency so they can do an inquiry. I mean, how'd that go for Herbalife and Ackman? Not very well, right? So I'd be real careful here if I was short. And I just really want to get that out. If you are short, I wish you the best. I get it. Technically, looking at that chart, there is nothing redeeming about that. That is an H. Maybe it's a failed H, but there's nothing redeeming about that. And if it breaks 30, it could go in the free fall. That could just be the level that everybody's looking at. And then it gets there and people are like, you know what, I've had enough. I'm out. Enough. And they just tap. So it can always get worse, right? I'm just going to be honest. I'm long, so people get it. Well, I'm not honest, just disclosure. But I married puts to it. I have December 22.5s because I wanted to go out super far, and I wanted enough of a delta that if it did blow up, I'd be net short. But I don't think it's going to blow up. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, well, I know what Hindenburg's thinking, but if you're retail and you're shorting, you think Icon's just going to come out and say, oh, you know what, this guy's right. You have no idea what happens here. I don't have a clue. All I know is I don't want to bet against them. I have a position and I'm hedged in it, and I want to get that out. I would start also focusing on the IGB names, guys. Okay, so I'm looking for leadership. I think I found it in a couple different sectors. I'm not going to go through it all right now, but you're definitely going to want to pay attention to this IGB. Okay, you're also going to want to pay attention to this, because this may be the leader. Okay, so XLC, right? I need to break this 60 line. I'm struggling with it, but okay, you've got Google. That is going to just rip everyone's face off here. I would love to I have a position in this. I would love to get a retest to 109. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I would love for this market to sell down. So then you have that. Then you have Netflix, which is benefiting greatly because Disney's a disaster, right? So Disney's loss is Netflix gain. That's in there. And then you have Meta, right? That is trying to get through 236.71 and failing miserably. So that's where we're at. But I'm more than happy to take questions now, and we'll go from there. So, okay. What's going on? All right. SPY neutral, ANC futures up, if possible, GT. Yeah, I think it's important when they take a stake to pay attention to it. It makes sense that I would take a position now. Obviously, you can see kind of maybe it leaked, but it would make sense to take a position now. 2/3 of Goodyear Tire's costs are oil. And if oil drops, this does exceptionally well in that kind of environment. So it takes a lot of oil and to make tires, a lot. So, they're all petroleum products. So I would like to see that 1561 break. and then maybe you could push up and go higher. Yeah, I like that a lot. I would be looking at that CPA, ENTG. So let's take a through here and go to CPA. Yeah, I mean, that looks like a monster. Yeah, I mean, complete gap fill in a day. I mean, that looks like an absolute monster. You probably have some minutia up here, but wow, that's really impressive. Let's look at that. Yeah, wow. I mean, that's really impressive. It's got to be earnings, right? Very impressive. Good. So what do we have? That's some relative volume. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Wow, that's really an impressive move. So that probably continues to push. Something worth watching for sure. ENTG. I get that. I like the other name better. I don't, because it didn't fall apart. Here you have the wick at the top, right? You're halfway down on that wick. So I'm not really crazy about that. I get it. I mean, I see what you're looking at, but I'd let that wick fill. I'd let the side fill in the wick first, and then I'd probably get involved there. What's going on, Katie? Yeah, I don't know what happens there. I have my opinion that I just don't think it's going to be able to get out of its own way. And I think that that's what we have to see. So, we're going to really have to take a look at that and say, is that something that's doable? I don't know. I don't know that that is doable, that we're going to get that kind of push. I start looking at it through the lens of the SPY. I'd like to see it, but, as I said, financials and energy are just, they're a real problem. So that's definitely something that we have to take a look at. Tesla, we went over. Amazon. Yeah, the Amazon's interesting to me, right? So this is the very first time that you've done that. You have not done that, right? In other words, every time that you've broken out, you get a red bar, retest, and fail. Tries to break, fails. This is the very first test, right? This is the very first test where you've hit a higher high. I see it. And it makes me wonder, with XLY, because that's a huge part of it, are they saying that the 4.9 number on CPI was telling people that, yes, inflation is coming down, but at the same time, the consumer's strong. So I don't know, guys. It's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know that I want to be buying that right now, but yeah, it's definitely looking great. Google looks much better. So to me, it looks much better. I'll just leave it at that. I have a position. I have a position in Google, so obviously I'm a little biased, but I think that this could just be an absolute monster trade. I'm actually hoping that it drops on me, so I can buy a lot more candidly. But we'll see if I get lucky. Yes, I am. I am in IEP. I have puts against IEP. Amazon we went over. I have the December, I think maybe some 20s too. I don't know that that's over. I'm going to tell you no. Here's my levels that I'm watching. I don't think it's over, but I don't have a position. I did okay with it yesterday. I didn't do great. We had some guys that were in the room that were buying it here after the secondary and did exceptionally well with it, right? They've absolutely slaughtered it on the move. I get it. It looks great. You're at a key level here. I don't know. I think you're going to have to really watch how this plays itself out and how you act at this 2051 level. Right now you're struggling with it. Right, you're struggling up here. You try, boom, break, and then you just kind of get Wick City up here, pre-market, right? And then you reject here. So can you really buy that? Probably not. You probably want to watch, here. If I was going to get involved, that would be my demarcation line, right? Like if I'm in there and I close below that on the hourly, I'm probably going to get out of the way, right? I'm probably going to get out of the way. There. It's probably not something that I'm going to stay with. Tesla, Microsoft, NVIDIA. We did those. Jag. Isn't that a TV show? Okay. I don't know, dude. Just write a check. Do me a favor. Write a check to St. Jude's. Like that. I mean, you're going to buy that? Like that just looks unbelievably awful. I mean, you just write a check. At least you get something out of that. Like I can't tell you to remotely go near that. Okay. Maybe this is different. JAGX. Pardon me. Okay, you're absolutely killing me, Shane. You know that, right? I think you do this to get my blood pressure up. I actually have very good blood pressure, so it's not going to affect me. I don't know what this is. My answer is a resounding no. And more emphatically, probably write another check to St. Jude's. No, we're going to, I don't think so. Worst case was 2011. If you think the credit rating is going to drop, sell equities. I mean, it's that simple. If you think the credit rating is really going to drop, sell equities. Oh, I got tested for COVID. It definitely was COVID. A fungal infection. That's The Last of Us when they all turned into fungus, right? That's a great show. Yeah, I saw that, and there was a couple downgrades there. I guess their expansion's not going as well as they thought. I got to be honest. I think there's so much more money to be made on the upside here. And I'm so nervous about shorts. Like I was short Disney after that dumpster fire, and I closed it way too soon. I'm not really interested even in looking at shorts right now. I just want the pullbacks to start buying more tech, to be quite honest with you, until proven wrong. But I don't know that I'm going to get that opportunity the way this market's moving. I think they're just going to grind us higher very quietly as people put on positions and then just hope that nobody notices what they're doing. That's kind of where I'm at. But that bros, I saw that. Someone put a sell on it, actually. And we'll go from there. But oh, I don't know. I mean, who's going to... But it's not the same as the banks because he owns 90% of the stock, 85, and now he's going to put a loan to go buy 90. Yeah, I don't think it's a fungal infection. I watched The Last of Us. I don't have any of those symptoms. I think with IEP, what people have to realize is he could literally go to a bank and buy 99% of the shares and still have it public with 1%, right? He could literally go to a bank, take a margin loan out there and have 1% of the shares outstanding. I mean, there's a lot he can do there. Yeah, I'd like to see a pullback, but I just don't know that we're going to. CRPT worth a look. I don't know. No, that's not something I would buy. Short mRNA. I don't know. What makes you want to short that? I see why you want to short it. There's your short. that day. I don't know that I would short it now. I mean, there was your short. You broke, once you broke that 55, that was it. Even here, people just stayed short it and did exceptionally well. And now it just keeps riding down. I mean, there's very little to do there. I don't know. I don't know that I'd want to be short going into this. Even if I just draw from here. I mean, how many times are you going to hold that level, right? Undercut, bounce, undercut, bounce, undercut, bounce, boom. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times to make 6 points. I don't know. I think I'd be more interested shorting it if it did this. If it broke, then tested, and then rolled. I think that might be more interesting than just shorting here and then hoping that you're going to break and then coming up one day and then you're up 4 because everybody covered, right? I'd rather short into strength. I don't like shorting into weakness. Sometimes like here, you don't have a choice, right? But here you broke the wedge line. Like at least you had something to work off of, right? I wouldn't. I mean, I just wouldn't. I don't think the risk reward's there. I think they have problems unless they come up with something, a new drug, but I don't know. I don't know anything about that. You're welcome, John. IONQ. It's not my kind of name, brother, but I get it. I think that's the level you have to watch. Let's go in here on the hourly. Let's see if we can drill into this. Well, they didn't like earnings. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go near it. Missed earnings. For me to even look at this, John, I need to get above that level. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. I would need to get above that 710 before I'd even be interested in that. Last of Us was a great show. I don't have any of those symptoms. Market's doing just great. I mean, I don't know what you're expecting. I mean, honestly, Ann, I don't know what you're expecting. You know, you don't have, everyone's got to just deal with like the reality of this. Okay. And I think that the expectations of people are just out of control. Like everyone's waiting for this. You're never getting this again. Okay. Anyone that's telling you how to trade or how great they did during this period of time. Okay. Just understand that their trading system works best when the government injects $1.7 trillion into the market. Okay. And is buying assets in the market. That's when their trading system works best. Okay. So for those that are newer to trading, I mean, I hate to just be the wet blanket, but this is not realistic. Okay. That you have it. This is realistic. The grind higher, certain names breaking out. Okay. This was not realistic. And, you know, this could take years to get back to here. But that doesn't mean that there's not stocks that double or triple or even 10 baggers by the time it happens. So people actually have to do work now and start understanding things. It's a very different market than this. And, you know, people saying that this market's not moving. Okay. We're not moving. You're up 20% this year in the futures. You're up more than the Nasdaq. I mean, I don't know what people want, honestly. HCDI. Yeah, it's not really my kind of trade. CPRT. Let me just do that on CPRT. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I get that. You want to buy it in the earnings zone? I get that, Terry. That makes sense. Looks good, but I don't know that I want to own it into earnings. Yeah, I mean, it's eventually someone will buy the pieces. MLI and Flex. What's up, Kim? I like that. Earnings are behind us. Shrugged it off, and now I'm starting to pop over on the relative volume. I like that chart. This is beautiful. Solid earnings, back above the 55. That's a beautiful chart. That's actually a signal right there on one of like the swing trade signals I use. Right there. I mean, it doesn't really get any cleaner, Camel. Like, that's your stop. You close below the 55, just get out. I like that a lot. You got a lot going for you there. Especially you make that higher high. Would I buy UPS? No. Well, that's what happens, right? I don't know that I'd be shorting Netflix. I think what people are realizing is that Netflix won, right? We thought Disney was going to overtake them, and now Disney just lost subscribers for the first time. I think they lost a little bit last time, but they're actually losing more subscribers. So I have that. I can't tell you the last time I've been on there. And I have that package with the ESPN Plus, but between ESPN Plus and then you're paying for it, and then on top of that, all the commercials, like, it's exhausting. It's a lot. So I don't know. I think they have major problems. They're going to have to figure it out how they're going to package the whole thing. I think they should make it one bundle and charge one fee. Right? And then make it competitive like that. So figure out what Netflix charges and then charge, right, for Disney bundle. Don't separate them out. Don't be able to get those. Make them get everything, right? Like, you have to get Hulu, you have to get Disney Plus, you have to get ESPN. I mean, I think that's their solution. I would not be shorting that. You know, if it pulls back, I'd probably be going long. I'm going to have to jump. So I got to go, guys. Yeah, I would not be shorting that. I really wouldn't. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Watch tomorrow's video. It's going to be packed.